amigos and amigas. My name's host Eric, and I see you. Uh, got 10,000 subs today. Pretty cool. Definitely such a time where I was not sure if I would ever reach 10,000 subs. Wasn't clear at all, you know. Pop out chat. I'm gonna pop out the chat. Everybody watch me pop out the chat. All right. Yeah, I see that already. Shush. Let me switch my account here to CWFP. 10,000 subs, it says now. Not 9 point whatever K. It says the full number. 10,000 subs. Finally happened. Finally. Like, Gredison binally. Yeah. 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 All right, there. Now I've got the chat popped out in my map. All right, so as I mentioned before, we shall see what happens long term. You know, we shall see if hello, Sarah's world. How are you this evening? And I hope everything is good for you and you are winning all of the awards. What are we doing here? I'm live streaming. I'm live streaming because that's what I do. But additionally, the topic here is not really a topic because I normally just engage with chatters and whatever they're saying and, answer whatever various questions, broach whatever topics people bring up. But in this instance, the official formal topic is today, for the first day ever, I reached 10,000 subs. And the real question is, how many years did it take me to get 10,000 subs? Well, technically, thank you, Show Media. Thank you. Technically, I started this channel in 2012, I think. I'm pretty sure. So, technically 12 years. But really, more like 10 years of steady YouTubing, maybe 11 years, you know. There's a very slow rate of improvement. At that rate, 1,000 subs a year, for me to get to 100,000 subs would take me another 90 years. Fortunately, at the moment, my sub rate is increasing faster than 1,000 a year. In fact, it's coming up on, for the last month or so. Well, right now I currently have, for the last month, last 28 days, plus 900 and some subs. So that's 12 times faster rate of sub acquisition than the channel's sub acquisition rate averaged out over the last 10 years. So, and that's being, just to make it an even number, I'm calling it 10 because it's more like 11, but that's a little harder to do the math. Anyway, there's no saying how long the current YouTube prioritization of vertical live streaming is going to continue to benefit me in the same way that it is now. At the moment, YouTube vertical live streaming and the inclusion of live streams on the vertical shorts feed has seen a substantial boost to my numbers. And I am convinced now, having looked into it a little bit more, that that's almost certainly the explanation for it. It may have something to do with the losing the warning on my channel, which I finally got on my channel on December 20th after having it on the channel for several years. It might have something to do with that. But I suspect that the primary thing it has to do with is this vertical shorts feed live streaming integration thing we got going on. So how sustainable is that going to be for, like, to expect my channel to continue to grow in any kind of meaningful way? Prior to this Am I smoking crack? Not at the moment. No, I actually have smoked crack before, but it was a very long time ago. And I've no interest in smoking further crack. If I'm going to smoke something from that kind of glass pipe, it's not going to be crack, but I'm not looking to do that. So, you know. Christy says, "Can you say hello to my friend? He's feeling a bit down right now." Hello to Christy's friend. I'm sorry you're feeling down. I hope you feel better soon. At least you have Christy as a friend. She's looking out for you. I'm sorry, Critzy. Not Christy, but Critzy. Christy's a fun name. I like it. It's like Mitzi and Crystal had a baby. Caleb Kidder, how about you? Are you smoking crack? Chippa chippa choppa choppa doobie doobie daba Dave. Car Guru says. I didn't know who it was, so that's why I didn't say the name. Uh could be just someone with the same last name, same name, Brockstad. Maybe they're not referring to the Nazi. Maybe they're just referring to a random guy named that same name. Car Guru seems to be pretty clear on things. He says chippy chippy choppa choppa dubby dubby daba Dave. And I think that's helpful. Oh, from the film Schindler's List? Oh, well. I I did not know that. So learn something new every day. So what I'm gonna say then, Critzy, is that guy is not really your friend. He's a fictional character from a movie. The cops of subscribing caught me yesterday. What are the cops of subscribing mean? I don't know what that is. They never had enough evidence. Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks, man. You got to chippy that chopper to W Adava. Makes sense, car guru. Okay, well, regardless, that person's dead, so it's not true that Critzy is friends with them. And it may be true that he's feeling down, but it's only because he's dead. Big Dog Mofo says congrats. Thank you, Big Dog Mofo. It's a big accomplishment. 10 solid years in the making. Well, Tamara Richardson, thanks, Terry Forbes. I don't know what the cops of subscribing caught me yesterday means, but I guess I'll never get to know. Oh. Well, it went over my head. Went either over my head, under my chin, or in one ear and out the other. Mushi says hi. Moshi, Moshi, Mushi. I just scroll random lives, and as soon as I find Black Streamer, I say, "You're welcome." You're fun, huh? Huh, Critzy? You are really fun. Well, you know, fuck you very much for being such an awful person. Enough of the memes. Have you been into any countries? Yeah, I've traveled to multiple countries in my life. I've been to Russia in the early 90s. I've been to Austria, to England, Italy. I briefly stopped in the airport in Finland. Um, I've been to Canada, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Hawaii. It's not another country, but I've lived in China for a few months. I've been to Taiwan. Um, there may be another country somewhere around there somewhere in the world that I've been to. I just can't think of all the ones I've been to for sure at the moment, but that's most of them. Been to a lot of different states. What's my favorite food? Probably ribeye steak. I think that's the best, the king of food. How was those Russian gals. I don't. Oh, how were those Russian gals? Uh, I didn't have any engagement with any Russian gals while I was there. I visited my friends. I went there for my friend. I went there for 2 weeks. I stayed at his apartment. Then for a couple days, uh, I went and took a train to St. Petersburg, visited stuff there. Actually, ended up sleeping in the train station. I didn't get any hotel accommodations the whole time I was there. I just stayed with friends. No, I've never dated 5 women at once. I've never dated more than one woman at once. We just ignore what Curtsy says, since it's just sort of mindlessly provocative. R Smoke Eye says hi. Hi, R Smoke Eye. Strange name. I've dated all 5 of my fingers at once before. Well, do you like to talk about Iraq? Not particularly. I mean, if there's not really a whole lot to talk about regarding Iraq at the moment. So, but certainly I have no problem discussing instances of American foreign policy or domestic policy that I strongly disagree with, including, say, the invasion of the Middle East after 9/11. I disagreed with it from the get-go. And obviously still disagree with it now. Because, I'm not wrong about stuff. Did Iraq defeat the USA? I wouldn't characterize that ill-advised, ill-paid admission that way, but certainly it's the case that the U.S. was not better off afterwards. Praying everyone is well. Thanks, Missy Ann Davenport. I too am praying everyone is well. There's a statue of Bush in Iraq, huh? Well, I'm sure most Iraqis aren't like, thank you, Mr. Bush, for setting us free. I'm sure most of them are not like that at all. Well, the Americans did leave. I don't know if the Iraqis got them out of the country, but during World War II, USA alone dropped over 3 million tons of bombs in Germany alone. Well, Curtsy, World War II was a little bit different than some of the contemporary geopolitical struggles. World War II, you had Axis powers, which clearly represented authoritarianism. You had Allied powers, excepting Russia, which clearly represented freedom and liberty and civil society and stuff. Russia was a complicating matter, but regardless, it was a necessary thing to have done to prevent the Japanese, the Italians, and the Nazis from taking over. Yes, you've made it very clear that, Cutesy, that you are full of hate. Accordingly, you're on thin ice. Rascal Flatbed says she'll talk about butt play all day. Hate keeps you alive. Hate doesn't keep me alive. I don't think it's fair to say the Jews are committing genocide. It is true that the Israelis are engaged in apartheid, Car Guru can tell us random facts. I know I can get Kirsty out or mute him. Currently, I'm waiting for Curtsy to cross a line more clearly because I tend to err on the side of free speech, as all good people do. But that doesn't mean I'm entirely believing in free expression to the without reservation. Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, we can critique the Israeli government because that's the government that's making the decisions, and the Israeli state, because regardless of whether the Israeli state is representing uh, a consensus of the people or just the majority, it's still accountable as a state because it is a nation state. And that's what's the faulty reasoning that Israel is guilty of is they can't treat Palestine like a nation state, hold them accountable like a nation state, unless they let them actually be a nation state. Mods are quick. That's why I love this channel. The free speech allowed. It's just a matter of erring on the side of one thing or the other, right? It's like I'm not I'm not an ideologue. In other words, I'm not going to prioritize free speech over everything. And realistically, nobody has the right to free speech here. It's like in my YouTube channel, I can astroturf as much as I want. It's just not my style, right? I believe more fundamentally in free expression than that. Safi Nasser says, hi. Hi, Safi Nasser. How's it going? I hope things are going well with you. Your name is Safi Nasser, don't you do? Actually, Western politicians are stopping free speech. Well, look, I think there's a very strong case to be made for striking a balance between free expression and civil discourse. So, first, it's worth noting that in America, constitutionally, only certain kinds of speech are protected, not all kinds of speech. And additionally, that we can draw some pretty clear lines between instances of, say, hate speech and legitimate political discourse. Now, if you're talking about COVID discourse, here's the thing. Yeah, it's true that there were a lot of legitimate. I mean, there was a lot of applying the rules differently to each side in COVID. In other words, if you were spewing misinformation about how we should all be super alarmed by this and we should all get masked and everybody needs to follow all these protocols or else you're a horrible person, that misinformation was tolerated fine. It was just misinformation on the other side that wasn't tolerated. But I will say this as well, that I was clearly opposed to all the COVID policies right from the get-go, and I never got censored at all because I never spit any actual misinformation, right? I was correct about it, articulating exactly what the country and the world should do and how we should respond to it, why certain policies were a bad idea, why other things weren't going to work, etc. And I never got dinged for misinformation at all. So it's important to remember that it's not necessarily a bad thing to shut down actual misinformation, although I think we have to be careful about that, right? So at the same time, we have to be very careful to distinguish between things that are actually misinformation, contrafactual stuff, and stuff that's an unpopular opinion, right? Tucker Carlson is horrible, of course, but so are all those mainstream pundits. They're not good. If they were good pundits, they'd sound like me. Instead, what they are is attempts to rile up the partisan base. There are a lot of people who engage with politics because they enjoy getting mad at those wrong scoundrels on the other side, or because they feel strongly about how our person he hates the bad guys as much as I do, and so we're great. Well, Howie X, earlier today I put a poll up. I think maybe I'll put the same poll up right now to see what we get, if we get different results this time. Trump or Biden was the question. And then the answers were Trump or Biden. Trump won 76 to some percent here. And it had 191 votes. So it's not like it was primarily voted on by people around here. It just seemed to probably represent a bunch of people who came in and wanted to vote on that poll. Probably most people who came in and wanted to vote on the poll are going to be more likely to be Trump enthusiasts than Trump haters. Nobody's really enthusiastic about Biden after all. So we will ask the question again. We'll see what it does. Amazingly, earlier, 191 votes on the poll earlier is insane. I don't even know what to say about that. I've never had a poll ever get anything close to that many votes. The thing is, this is basically asking, who do you want to win? Who will win? I don't know, Howie X. I'm not necessarily good at predicting what's going to happen. I'm extremely good at saying what should happen, and that bad things will happen if what shouldn't happen is done. Articulating exactly what will happen, it's hard to say. I mean, I agree with you there, Howie X. Whatever else we want to say about Trump, don't cheat, right? Don't try to prevent him from competing fairly against the other candidate. Nobody's interests are served with that. Let's just say, like, well, surely we could somehow sidestep the voters because we can't let the voters get what they want. I suspect Trump will win if he runs against Biden this time, because I think people are like, okay, Biden, you're not mentally competent to be president. Trump does have various faults. I wouldn't say what he did was destroy NATO, but I will say that most of the international agreements that he got us out of, it was good that he got us out of them, but probably not legitimate. I mean, it's not like America was so great under Trump. America has gotten shittier in some ways and continued down those shitty pathways since 9/11. Somebody who was born in 1971, me, I have sufficient memory of the decade before 2001, you know? So, I think some of the worst things that Trump did, one of the worst things he did was assassinate that Iranian general on Iraqi soil. That's insane. That's not how anybody goes and does business. We're not at war with that country. There's no possible justification for killing their general. It's completely bullshit. But the thing that bugged me most about Trump wasn't even his policies or whatever he was doing. It was the fact that he made no bones about the fact that he only represented half of the American population, the part that supported him. And for the rest of the people who didn't support him, fuck you. That is not the job of the president. He made that abundantly clear. I hated the way he just patently rejected the notion, at least in terms of his behavior, it was indicative of this, that he had any responsibility to actually communicate things with the American people. He reduced his communications about what and why he was doing to tweets, because words are cheap. Words are what fucking matter, you tard. Like his COVID response. He was on the right side of the issue on some grounds, but nobody's going to afford you any legitimacy if your explanation is, I've got a hunch. Why should U.S. tax money go to Israel? It shouldn't. It absolutely should not go to Israel. Unfair. And also, they, for example, can come to the U.S. for free healthcare. No, nobody can come to the U.S. for free healthcare. Not even Americans can come to the U.S. for free healthcare. You're nuts if you think that's the case. We don't have free healthcare. You need to do a little bit more research before you start spitting a bunch of stuff. Who was killing at least 1,000 plus people per day? Who was? What guy? Hi, Padawan Rangebender. So we're redoing the Trump Biden polls. People were asking about it. So let's try the poll again and see what happens this time. Because, given that 191 votes on it, and that's not anywhere like possibly linking to my normal viewers. Oh, the Iranian general. Okay, well, unless he was killing Americans, it's not our problem, card guru, right? And we can't justify the means with the ends. So if that general was so terrible and was terrorizing the Middle East, then the Middle East should deal with him. If he was somebody who killed a bunch of Yemenis, then Yemen should deal with him. If he was somebody who killed a bunch of Iraqis, Iraq should deal with him. The United States should not be dealing with him unless he killed a bunch of Americans. And if Iran were attacking and killing Americans, then why aren't we at war with them? These things are straightforward enough. The Iranians, they didn't bomb the American airbase until after we assassinated that general, and Trump gave them tacit approval to do so as long as they didn't kill anybody. I live in California. Are you okay? Well, I agree that Iran bombed. Oh, before that, the Iranians bombed U.S. air bases in Iraq. Before that, I'd not heard of that. If that's true, um, then that changes things a little bit. But I still would ask, so why didn't we declare war on Iran if they're attacking our military installations? Is California falling apart? Much of the state is falling apart in various ways. Where we live is not. Where we live is a wonderful, beautiful rural community in the middle of the state. We don't even have any stoplights in our county, in the whole county. And it's a right to farm county, which means you can't complain about any of the normal stuff from having farming near you. We live in a part of the county where it's vacation homes, it's not farming. But Biden's on my forehead. I got Biden on my forehead and Trump on my lip. One I will poke and one I will sip. I didn't vote any times for Newsom. City structure, physical, and social is falling apart. I think it's the case that the biggest problem that we're having in the United States right now, first, we're recovering from the inflation-driven net wealth reduction that impacted everybody. So everybody's kind of scrambling, feeling the pinch, stuff's more expensive, etc. And the second biggest problem we have is homelessness. The third biggest problem is healthcare, which, thanks to massively bloated, ill-advised federal legislation, continues to just balloon in terms of costs beyond the scope of what the country can conceivably spend on that. It's like in a sane world where everybody just treated the doctor like the dentist. Almost nobody has dental health care. Then we wouldn't have these outrageous costs. Things would cost what people could actually afford, not be, not what they can get away with charging insurance companies. Do I think migrants helped or destroyed California? I mean, I'd say helped by and large, but the answer is neither. You know, we have a lot of Mexicans in California. I grew up with lots of Mexicans. My first wife was half Mexican. My second wife was all Mexican. My third wife is not Mexican at all. My third wife's from New York, so she's not Mexican. Um, I don't know. I like all the Mexicaniness of Los Angeles. I always liked it. Like the taco truck. So like Mexicans are cool, you know. They aren't they don't have any kind of stick up their ass. Okay, well, see, it sounds like you just sort of hate everything and how he acts. Or am I wrong? Because I think, okay, no, yes, you're wrong, how he acts. Absolutely. And the same thing is true of migrants. Well, Israel is killing on a daily basis, but even Arabs aren't doing shit because they're scared of the U.S. Well, it's because Israel is a nuclear armed state. Nobody attacks a nuclear armed state except for guerrilla groups like the Palestinians. In this instance, they have no choice really but to do whatever it is they do because they're being held in bondage in a state of apartheid, forced to be second class citizens, and denied autonomy over their own region and people, even though their land was usurped for them without any just cause in the original, you know, incorporation of Israel. New Brawl Stars running back. But people who think things like the migrants or the Mya are ruining Mya, they're stuck in a really childish way of thinking. Things are more nuanced and more complex than that. there are in some instances good reasons to limit immigration, but you have to kind of do it on a case by case basis. I think we don't want to encourage Islamic immigration to the U.S. because I think it's anathema to a civil society in its ideology, and that it prioritizes what they deem sacred over free expression. And free expression is the fundamental engine of a free society. Do I want Trump to win? I mean, I've thought about it, and I dislike Trump a lot. Do not mistake me for a Trump supporter. But Biden, I don't like him at all either, and he has dementia. So if I had to choose, which I probably won't vote, but if I had to, I would vote for Trump over Biden. But do not mistake me for a Trump supporter. I think they're both absolutely terrible. Should we be involved in the Palestinian-Gaza conflict? No. The only thing that we can do to be involved in the Palestinian-Gaza conflict, is to say, here's what's correct, here's what's morally correct, here's why it's not possible for Israel to sustain the status quo in any kind of moral high ground. Here's all the specifics of the moral calculus, and thus we formally condemn Israel for not affording autonomy in their own nation state to the Palestinians, whose land they usurped for no good reason in the first place. So we're not saying give it back, we're just saying don't keep lording over your government over them and like maintaining them in second-class apartheid citizen status and pretend to be all righteous, okay? Yeah, they're bullshit for like bombing you and bombing your civilian shit or whatever, but what do you expect a bunch of slaves to do? They don't have any legitimate means of acting out. They're not even afforded legitimacy of making their own decisions. So that's a specious critique of Israel's, and we have to acknowledge that. Remember, I don't give a fuck. As you can see, I'm not very fond of the idea of Islam in general, and that I certainly think it has some pre-Enlightenment aspects to it. It's expressing its ideology that I think are dangerous to a free and civil society. And yet, at the same time, I'm not not because I'm on one side or the other, it's because I'm on the side of correctness. So, uh, what I'm saying in regards to that is obviously in this particular conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians, one has to side with the Palestinians because they're right. They're in the right. Uh, at the same time, I do, critique, lament the ways in which Islam expresses these kind of pre-enlightenment values, the sacred over free expression, the community over the individual, um, this kind of second-class citizen status for women. It's not nearly as bad as for the Palestinians, probably in most places, but still, this incredible pressure to conform that's kind of implicit in Islamic culture, I think. Um, those things are all terrible things, and we don't want to invite a certain amount of poison into our general understanding of values and political norms. Hi, JC. Not much, just doing a little live streaming and encountering some rather provocative people coming in with some hardline, uninformed, kind of unnuanced positions. Well, you can talk to me in the chat right now if you want, JC, but I'm live streaming and probably will be for a while. Maybe when I'm done, it's a quick call, Took a half a Klonopin earlier and looking forward to crushing that tonight. But, we can squeeze in a quick call after the stream, before bed, if you're still up or whatever. Alexis Lazare. Hi. How are you? Fight me, lol, says Miss Red. Fight you? What would you like me to fight you about? Let's fight about whether or not McDonald's is healthy. I say McDonald's is healthy. What do you say? What do I think about Kamala Harris? I mean, I think whatever I think about her, she shouldn't be backdooring her way into the presidency by being the president in practice because the actual president has dementia. If she's going to be empowered like a president, she should be voted for as a presidential candidate, not just sort of, control the reins from behind the scenes bullshit. Ukraine was a weapons producing behemoth during the Soviet years. Well, they had themselves well protected after the. That's what I meant about fight me. Okay. You want to fight me about McDonald's? Do you believe that McDonald's is bad for you? Okay, well, I just don't want to talk to you about something. Okay, well, what are you saying? I don't know what you're saying, JC. Yeah, she hasn't given up their nukes. Exactly. Screw Trudeau? I don't want to screw Trudeau, and I'll tell you why not. Because I hear he's a selfish lover. Yeah, I don't think your message is getting through, Miss Red. You're going to need to specify a little bit more, give me more information about what you want to fight me about. You can't just fight me about nothing. Otherwise, we'd be like Bahad Baby and Lil Tay, having beef comprising of nothing. Well, you were wrong to do so, Darkseid. I said F him first, but you didn't see that. F who? F who about what? I see. Oh. No, I did say that. That's what I was reading. I said, screw Trudeau. I explained why I don't want to do that. Yes, spinach cheese crackers. I am your grandfather. Screw Putler. Who's Putler? It's got to be cold out there. It's pretty chilly. Yeah. I wish I had worn my hat outside, but I didn't. Should I buy Rice, Pride, or Total War? Ooh, Total War sounds best of the three, but I don't know anything about any of them, so that's just a gut. Yeah, I'm assuming they're all games. The second one is like, who can display the most pride in a gay pride parade? Seems like a pretty fun game concept. I'm extremely proud of my gayness. Okay, well, then you're just being a shitty American who's treasonous in his spirits. Even if we're being the bad guys, then critique America for being the bad guys. Don't celebrate Russia for being bad. For fuck's sake, have a little bit of sense. We should always critique our own country when we're behaving in an unacceptable fashion. To me, what it means to love our country is to critique our government. But just because Russia doesn't like America and America, some parts of America's government are bad, doesn't mean you side with Russia. And we can all be patriots in meaningful ways. Did my Mexican wife hate Trump? I was with her before Trump, before he was a candidate. It was quite some time ago. Well, that's what it is, Zach Hunter. It's literally a walking gay party. That's what a pride parade is. It's not like it doesn't just look like a walking gay party. It is a walking gay party. That doesn't make it a horror show. It may make me feel a little like, okay, I'm going to do something else. Because, I don't believe that people should be proud of their sexuality. I'm not proud of being a heterosexual. Let's get out of politics for a second. What do you regret not doing when you were younger? The regret that first comes to mind, it's not like I still regret it because things all worked out as they worked out and that was all fine. But there was this one girl in college who wanted me to kiss her and I was like too nervous and I didn't. And I regret not doing that. I liked her, but I was neurotic, too neurotic. I was push shy. Since then, of course, I've gotten rather less push shy. And I'm pretty pleased with that. Right. Well, I mean, there certainly are plenty of parties who have a vested interest in Americans being divided against themselves. And that's exactly what we have right now. And it's reflected, the division is so stark that it's reflected somewhat in the total absence of good candidates. Anybody who's actually a good candidate, somebody who's saying things like me, is not going to appeal to this very divided populace, either side of it, each of whom wants somebody who's spitting the same kind of normal team garbage. Either corporations and politicians, corrupt politicians are bad and we're going to get money out of politics, or, it's those damn gun-toting religious people who are the problem, or, and any other sort of simplified boogeymanning is horrible. I do plan to run for president in the next election. In order to do that, I'm going to need to, I would imagine I'd need to meaningfully have a sufficient size pulpit to launch a presidential campaign from. I'm going to need 100,000 subs. Can I get 100,000 subs in the next 4 years or so? I've not encountered that at all, Zach Hunter, that gay people like to flirt with straight people. I don't recall gay men flirting with me, nor do I recall any lesbians flirting with Rachel. I think that's completely uninformed hogwash. Thanks. I square dogs. I will run. Um, well, the thing is, at my current rate of growth, I'm getting about, well, at least for the last month, and I don't know if this is going to increase. I just hit 10,000 subs. After being stuck in the doldrums on subs for a long time, um, a couple of recent switches saw a sudden burst in sub acquisition rate. I link it primarily to vertical live streaming being on the shorts feed in some capacities. Uh, hold on. Sorry. I had to take a phone call. And, you know, let's try to get this dude to 1 million, bro. I mean, that would be unspeakably insane and amazing. The most significant thing I'm doing here that I think is potentially going to make a difference is that, well, I mean, that makes it all the difference in the world to me is that I'm getting subs right now doing what I naturally do. This is not work for me, you know? Well, man, what do you regret not doing in your 20s? Uh, what do I regret not doing in my 20s? Nothing really. I mean, my regrets tend to be things I did, not things I didn't do. You know, I wish I had been more careful, more deliberate in my choice making. I wish I had a better understanding of my deficits, my limitations. I wish I had been a little bit more metacognitive, aware, mindful. I wish I had quit drinking sooner, you know. Oh no, they found me. Now they are calling Eric Law. No, that was actually my client's mom, Jeffrey's mom, was on the phone there. Jeffrey's got to read this book, and she wanted to know if I'd read it before. I said I actually have in high school, but I don't really remember it. She's gonna mail me a copy. I said that's fine. TWFP, are you familiar with glowing FBI memes? No, I'm not familiar with those at all. Cadence, if I didn't say hi, hi. Uh, I did plenty of drugs in my 20s. I don't regret not doing more drugs in my 20s. Uh, maybe a little bit. I regret not having myself more set up with drugs for my wedding, but I don't really regret it because, the more fun you're having, the less fully careful you're being. Yeah, you know. Which book? It's called Mrs. Meow Meow Meow. It's not Mrs. Doubtfire. It starts with a D, I think, though, and I'm getting the name confused with the movie Mrs. Doubtfire. That's not what it's called. I remember reading it in high school. So she's gonna mail me a copy of it so I can reference it when he wants to talk to me about it or whatever. He has to write papers on it, you know. You know how that stuff goes with high school and assignments people have to do. I don't really love working in that capacity, you know. I just do it for um I just do it because I like the family. Do it kind of as a favor for them. 9/11 or Pearl Harbor? I mean, are you asking which was worse? I would say 9/11 was worse because Pearl Harbor worked to our net benefit, whereas 9/11 did not. Trump Biden, Trump's winning 81% to 19% right now. And we're going to leave this poll up for a long time because, like I did earlier, poll got 191 votes, which is completely unheard of for any poll I've ever put up by well over 100 votes. I've never had a poll get anywhere close to that many votes. So it's representative of more than just people around my channel. You can't conclude from those results that therefore this channel is conservative or Trump focused or whatever. I don't like Trump at all. I obviously don't like Biden either. Even if Biden didn't have dementia, it would be a crapshoot. But so please don't conclude from those poll results that, oh, talking to famous people is some sort of conservative channel. It's all like, Trump won. You know it, I know it. But this this banner I see in town, just still got it up from the last election. I don't know it. You shouldn't know it. That's what I have to say about all that. Now, let's get a drink. Okay, so you want me to play two, huh? The rodent one? Rodent? Meow, meow, meow. I will protect you, Capillo. Don't worry. Come on, sweetie. No trouble. You're not going to bother your sister. You're not going to bully her. I'm sorry. Capillo's standing in the door taking her time. I want her to be able to take her time. Decide to come back in and not have to worry about trouble. Yeah, you're not going to try to force her outside now. Trouble thinks he's allowed to prevent Capillo from being downstairs in peace. It's horrible. WTF, there's a ghost? Where? Oh my God. I'm scared now. So, what was the Inky Pinky said here? I have to look at it. I thought I got my glasses. Where did I put them? Oh, I know. They're up here. Large rodent heavy knife. Large rodent heavy knife. Okay. Large rodent heavy knife. Maybe like, ooh, that's a tough one. A beaver cleaver. That's excellent. Lou, that's definitely right. I'm sure a beaver is a rodent, and that's what made it so tricky because people don't think of beavers as rodents. Everyone's going to go rat, mouse. Pro Scream. I love big winners and I donate $100. What's Pro Scream mean? I am a big winner. I am a huge big winner. So if that means you love me. Actually, the door opened when you were gone. Oh, did it? Well, it's because it didn't close all the way. So some of the springs open. It's because, unfortunately, the weather stripping on the door is a little bit too thick, which makes it hard to close. I need to thin that down. It bothers Rachel that she can't like properly close the door without pushing on. I can hear her frustration. I need to fix that. But did JC ever answer my earlier question? I'm not quite sure where he was going with that whole thing. I just don't want to talk to you about something. So he said, I really want to talk to you about something. I said, okay, well, call me after the stream or whatever. He said, okay, well, I just don't want to talk to you about something. He means, I don't just want to talk to you about something? I don't know what to make of that. Talked to him earlier, you know. Speak well, deceitfully influence. 4-4. Okay, hmm. Speak well, deceitfully influence. So it could be uh it could be like enunciate, manipulate, enunciate, manipulate. Could be what's your highest donation? One time I got $500 from somebody, actually. I was like, okay. Thank you. Are you sure that's what you want to do with your money? I said one. Enunciate or manipulate? If the manipulate one is right, then articulate. That's 3. Manipulate is 4. Articulate. Oh, yeah, both 4. Articulate, manipulate. Fomahant. He was drunk, says Bofat. He probably was. He might regret such an expenditure. I don't know, but you know, he sort of did it to like, I'll show you, and um, and I guess he did show me, but I'm not sure what he was trying to show me exactly. Thank you. Why so sexist? Why not womanipulate? Good question, new group. Good question. An important question that we should all ask constantly. My original username is IceWallowCome. IceWallowCome? Oh, that I see. Never mind. I get it now. It took me a second. I swallow, come. Now, Jack Mehoff, let me stress that I don't personally think that either person is qualified to be president, nor should either person be the candidate of either party. So it's not like I'm going like, oh, goody, Biden or Trump. I'm not promoting the choices between them, the choice between them as a good thing. Bottle throttle, glass flask twisting accelerator. Yeah. Excellent, Lou. You nailed it. You nailed it. I would not have put motorbike there. I think that made it a little too easy. Well, Justin, Big Mac, you're not wrong. Don't stop now. Why? You can't stop. Don't stop. I won't stop. You got glue on your hands, you got records on your fingers, and you just can't stop. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having an amazing evening. I don't know if my evening is amazing, because it doesn't exactly provoke amazement in me, but I would call it incredible because it provokes incredulity in me. I'm having trouble believing in it. I'm going to go with the latter, Jack Mehoff. And I want to also inform you that I'm not going to do as your name instructs, okay? You're going to have to do that yourself. Overhead grilling, struggle. Broil toil, bam. I'm an Eric who got the answer, 'cause I'm super good at that. It's amazing you're breathing. Unless you take your breath away, then you're not breathing. Yeah, you do take my breath away. And I want to say the following thing to you, new group. Nothing compares with you. Cooper Boyle, I am gay, but only as part of my gay couple. My wife and I, who admittedly is a woman, we do a lot of gay couple stuff. We go berry picking. We might go thrifting or antiquing sometime. We don't really go antiquing, but you get the gist of it, you know. Go to little boutiques and stuff. Extremely gay couple stuff. So that's vibration and I consistently march in the LBGTQ plus A C, which stands for heterosexual couples. Yeah, we're heterosexually gay. You're welcome, New Groove. What is your thought on furries? It's like, I guess my first thought on it is they don't quite seem to get that sex is supposed to be done naked. Thanks, Ruben R. It's all thanks to my not changing anything. Everyone would always tell me all these years, hey, Eric, you should do this different. You should do this different. I said, no, I don't want to succeed. I want to be stubborn. And you know what? My stubbornness is paid off. So, you know, it's like 10 years of failure and toil. Thank you for the word. I smoked the Fent cart with the homies. No, I don't smoke fentanyl. I have a friend who basically died and had to be brought to life, back to life from smoking fentanyl. But I've never been into, yeah, I did policy debate before. I debated in high school. Thanks, Lou. Anyway, oh, she said, anyway, you want it. That's the way you need it. Any way you want it. Yeah, she did say that. I guess as furries get a lot of hairs in their mouth. This kind of stuff totally bums me out, though. Super dry. Furries are super dry? Well, I hope so, because you don't want to get that fake fur wet. It's going to stink. Bro used the totem of undying? I don't know what that is. I don't know what the totem of undying is. Do you smell fuming black-pilled farts? Or do I have smelly, fuming black-pilled farts? What does black-pilled mean? I know about red pill and blue pill, even maybe about purple pill. I've never heard of this black pill. What happens if you take a black pill? Black pills are cowards mostly. Pathetic, but so are red pill. Oh, I have no idea what the term is. Non-die? You mean he means undying? The totem of undying? Is the 39 on my shirt for Jimmy Carter? No. This represents the Japanese characters that sound like thank you. Black pilled nihilism. So it's just incel plus edgelord, huh? Boy, that sounds like a fun guest at a dinner party. Yeah. Incel plus edgelord equals ew. No, you're not welcome at my dinner party. Nobody wants to hear you project your insecurity as political positions, pseudo political positions about how women are slaves to their biology. No girls want to go to that party. You and your other morons can um, have your sausage party by yourself. I'm pretty in touch with my internet slang. Certainly, I'm familiar with skibbity, bombaclats, giat, Riz, etc. But thing is, the reason I'm pretty up to date with it is because people come in here and use it. I don't know what it means. I either ask or Google it. The cat wants to come in. Go on through the cat door, please. Instead of scratching that door. Don't worry about trouble. I'm not going to let him bully you. Well, I agree, Thomas Blades. Look, I couldn't agree with you more. We could hardly have two worse candidates. So, I'm saying it's the classic South Park turd sandwich or dirt douchebag. So I'm short. You are based. Am I? Right? Wise Jedi? So in short, you are based. Am I? I am based for sure. But, you know, I'm certainly am more based than Lil B, who can have zero of my bitches. Sleepy Joe the Chomo. Who's Sleepy Joe the Chomo? Never heard of him. Flea treat. Doesn't rhyme. Quickly leave. Canned meat. Let's see. uh, hmm. Hmm. What rhymes with spam? That means quickly leave. Jam? Brew band? Yeah, gotcha. Scram! Scram spam. Good job, New Groove. You got it. Do you watch hentai with the squadron leader of the function? I don't watch hentai. I will watch certain cartoons on Crunchyroll that have the label mature, which means that they show nipples. Sometimes they actually. There was one particular show that I remember was like full blast hentai, and it was still good though. And I watched it. It's a good enough story. Well, Thomas Blades, I do plan to run for president in after this next cycle. In fact, I feel renewed enthusiasm towards the idea because if at least if I could continue with my current rate of growth or maybe improve on it even a little bit. Now, who knows how long it's going to last because YouTube tends to deprioritize things. Prioritize things for a while, then slip it back in priorities a bit. They may be prioritizing vertical streaming right now. But if it were to persist and get a little bit better, it's conceivable I could get to 100,000 subs in 5 years, which would be when I need to be running, 4 years, 5 years. And I think if I could get 100,000 subs, then I'd have sufficiently large platform to express what I have to say politically. And my message is, I think everybody's going to say regarding my message that I am very reasonable about politics. Some people say I'm naive in one way or the other, but nobody's going to say this guy's a shill for the other team. Do I sound different? Am I married? I'm married, yes. What's OG? You're talking to me? Like, am I a married original gangster? Or are you talking to somebody else? Who's OG, if that is somebody? Do I sound different than anybody else? Well, my voice is kind of shot right now a little bit. OG equals original. Cool. You are OG as an original gangster. I am an original, but I will admit I've never been, nor have I ever wanted to be, nor will I ever be a gangster. I'm an otaku, VRO. I watch shit tons of anime. Uh, there's no paucity of anime watching going on in this house. It's just the only thing that's slowing me down is I'm out of anime. I've scraped the bottom of the barrel, you know. I'm like rewatching shows I've already watched. If I watched it long enough ago, maybe I forgot it, but I remember that I liked it. And I'm just, inching down to the 4.0 star level shows that aren't very good, trying them out, seeing if it's good enough to watch. But that's what happens when you turn. It seems like when you start getting into anime, you have an infinite supply of it, but it's not infinite. Yeah, I watched all of Attack on Titan, of course, including the last two films. 1 hour, whatever finale episodes, whatever you want to call them. And I watched all of Naruto Shippuden. I watched all of countless things, countless things. Someone who laughs, crocodile like animal. Okay, I'm gonna go with someone who laughs. I mean, I think Attack on Titan's one of the more, one of the first anime that people get into, probably. So it's a lot more common that people watch Attack on Titan than, say, this one. This shirt's from Blue Exorcist. Blue Exorcist season 1, the main character wore this shirt. This is being a real otaku here. I also have a shirt my daughter made for me that says, it has the logo and stuff for "So I'm a spider, so what?" Hilariator alligator. Here's what I'm thinking, Ruben, regarding that one. The answer is caiman for the crocodile-like thing, not alligator. And so you got to figure out something that rhymes with caiman that means meow meow meow. What do you think? Uh, why don't I just learn Japanese? It'll upgrade your anime watching experience. Well, I don't know if it would really. I enjoy. Oh, it is fourth of syllables. I didn't see the syllables. So alligator. You're probably right then. Oh, 4-4. Okay. Alligator and somebody who laughs. Uh, uh, a hmm. Somebody who laughs, huh? I don't know. That was tricky. If no to incels are at dinner and only incels take black pills, and I take black pills, am I necessarily not at dinner? Correct. You are necessarily not at dinner. True. Comedian reptilian? Thanks, Carlos Paiva. Alligator is right. So, is it a drama hater alligator? Somebody who hates drama, therefore likes comedies? I love being an incel. You can never get more based from that. All I need is the nightmare blunt rotation of the function, and I'm good, my boy. Well, the thing is, Dog from the Deep, Ink Pink. You didn't give anybody a chance to get it. You just said what the answer was. It wasn't a great one. I'll give you that, both that. If you love being an incel, then you're voluntarily celibate. In fact, not just voluntarily, eagerly. I know Japanese language. It actually makes the experience worse because it's more childish because Japanese talk in different styles depending on the age of the person you're talking to. And they have a small language too. So they use a lot of like one term said in slightly different ways to convey terms that use a variety of English words to be conveyed in text. I like reading the dialogue, I like the sound of the Japanese, but I don't want to process the meaning via the Japanese. And Crunchyroll, by and large, does an amazing job of the subtitles. You know, they don't just have shitty whatever subtitles. It's really well converted. 136 votes. I'm gonna let this go for 4 more minutes, and then I'm gonna end this poll. It's even. No, it's not quite as many votes as earlier, but it's quite a few votes. Laugh loud hysterically. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, 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 ho. Like that. Flatuator doesn't rhyme with alligator. Not really. I don't know what you're talking about, BRO. I will say that we had to drive by the high school today because we had to stop by the property tax office because I got this supplemental tax bill. I was like, said delinquent. I'm like, we paid the first installment of this out well before the due date in fall. What the hell's going on? Well, it turns out, oh, well, yeah, that's your payment on the old assessment of the house, but you have more property taxes to pay on the new assessment of the house now. We have till May 31st to pay them, but it's a little annoying, to learn that actually uh, property taxes are going to be like almost twice as much as I thought they were going to be. It's not nearly as wonderful. The $5 can topple the economy. I put that in the gang. VRO, again, I still don't know what you're talking about. So maybe you're using too many youth culture terms that I don't know. I'm really disappointed to hear what you said about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. No, I did not say they had no choice but to do what they did, right? I'm saying it's not defensible, okay? But you need to respect the order of questions. In order for us to legitimately critique the Palestinian behavior, they need to not have the legitimate claim that the issue of their justice needs to be dealt with first. So if you want to legitimately critique the Palestinians for their unacceptable, morally reprehensible attack on Israeli civilians, you have to first acknowledge that the burden is on Israel to give them the autonomy and self-governance that is necessary before we can hold them fully responsible. When you've got a population held as second-class citizens in an apartheid state, then that issue needs to be dealt with first. In other words, the reason, unfortunately, that we can't hold the Palestinians accountable for their reprehensible behavior is because Israel needs to do its job first. It's the nation state. It's the government. It's the one holding these people in an apartheid conditions as second-class citizens and denying them their autonomy and equal agency unless and until they meet Israel's conditions. So that's not acceptable. They've got the order of questions wrong. So I agree with you. We want to condemn those Palestinians as hard as possible. And so Israel needs to recognize the value of cutting loose any relationship with them at all, letting them be their own country. Then, if Palestinian attacks Israel, it's another nation state attacking instead of an oppressed population. And then Israel can respond with all the righteous firepower it wants. Nobody's going to complain about it. So you need to think about it that way, Keki Rizp, right? It's not okay for them to butcher, absolutely not okay for them to butcher 1,200 innocent civilians. And that's why they have to have their own nation state, so that we can hold them accountable for that, right? As long as Israel continues to hold them in a state of semi-servitude, then, that's first in the order of questions because they're the legitimate government making legitimate decisions. So hopefully we all recognize what I'm saying here and that I am correct about that. This is why the order of questions is so important. Israel wants to freak out when its whipping boy acts up. Sorry, Israel. Be smart. You uphold your moral duty first. Then it won't be muddy at all, right? Then it won't be muddy. There's no government of the Palestinians to be held accountable for the actions of some Palestinians. And they're not empowered enough to govern themselves. So, in contrast, Israel has a government that can and should be held accountable and that can choose to be smart and create an equivalent accountability in the Palestinians. And by both pragmatic and principled reasoning, should do so, right? So that, yes, we can critique the fuck out of them then. I would love to do that with you. But first, you got to do the legwork, Israel, right? My slang term is pumping through my slime gangs, which is sponsored by Tuesday Land Incorporated and Gang Slang. Well, it certainly is confusing me. I don't know what any of that means. Okay, well, here's the great news, Thomas Blades. Israel doesn't need to make any deals with Palestine. All they need to do is say, we're done with you, Palestine. This is our border. We're our own country. You figure out your shit. Now, if you attack us, though, we're treating you as another sovereign nation, not as our problem at all. So watch the fuck out. Okay, well, I'm going to have to start Googling things. Nightmare blunch rotation is a commonly used catchphrase and caption for images of a group of celebrities or fictional characters that the meme's creator would either like to or not like to smoke cannabis with. Oh, I see. So it's like, which celebrities do I want to smoke a blunt with? And then, which celebrities do I absolutely not want to smoke a blunt with? Well, let's let's talk about this a little bit. I like this term a lot. I'm really grooving on this term. She's fast asleep. She took Adderall yesterday. Didn't get really any sleep last night, um, and accordingly, is asleep right now. I mean, the thing is, shouldn't you really invite me to your dream blunt rotation? Because for you, and I'm sure for everyone you know, their most important dreams would come true if only you and they could smoke a blunt with me. And Rachel. She'll probably smoke a little bit off of it, although she's much more inclined towards concentrate vape pens that make her cough a lot less. Okay, that doesn't negate what I said, Thomas Blades. I've advocated a specific policy prescription for Israel. This is us. This is our borders. We have no longer anything to do with you. You deal with yourselves. Now, since they're no longer holding them in some kind of apartheid state, Palestine can then turn to other Arab nations for help in setting up their state. Israel will designate what land comprises not theirs and not worry about it anymore. Okay? So, in other words, this is a red herring by the Israelis that the Palestinians need to do something to solve this, to create a two-state solution. The Palestinians don't need to do anything. The Israelis don't need to create a second state. They just need to say, this is our border. We no longer have anything to do with you. Right, Thomas Blades. That's why I'm advocating this hawkish approach for you. If you believe you can't make peace with those people, then you need to set it up so that you can defeat them entirely, right? But you can't do that in any kind of good conscience as long as you're claiming some kind of sovereignty over them, but not affording them equal citizenship, right? So if you want to make peace or end conflict, it may require Israel to bomb the living shit out of Palestine. So what does Israel need to do before they can justify that? Well, exactly what I've said. So everybody should be in agreement. Now, of course, Israel doesn't want to do anything the Palestinians are going to like. So that's why it needs to be framed this way. And the Palestinians can't do anything about it regardless because they have no power. So it's going to have to be up to the Israelis to come to their fucking senses and listen to Eric. Spoiler alert, I believe he does in Boruto. Not watched a lot of Boruto, but it's like Israel hates the Palestinians so much that they want to keep them close to them, keep control over them, so that they can make them suffer, even if it means having them kill 1,200 civilians. Even if the inevitable blowback is going to produce an ongoing string of Israeli civilian deaths, Palestinian civilian deaths, human rights violations galore. They hate the Palestinians so much that they're like, but we can't just let them go because how are we going to torture them any further? Of course, everybody listens to Eric. Everybody wins. The Palestinians get what they want. The Israelis get what they want. And people can stop lying, which would be wonderful, you know, if people would stop lying about things. Israel's just mad they weren't invited to Palestine's golden trans blunt rotation. So who's going to be in my dream blunt rotation? I'm going to get... let's see. I want Johnny there for sure. Jawny. I want I'd like Richard Feynman there, famous EHP physicist. I would like to have Tesla there. All right, Einstein, you can come too. How many people can I have in my rotation? How big of a blunt is it? I don't want to run out of weed before we all get high enough. Those controlling Palestine have started every conflict. Okay, well, Thomas Blades, thank you for further describing the problems ensuing from Israel not listening to Eric. If Palestine had been its own country that whole time, they'd have been bombed into the Stone Ages by now. Because, of course, Israel can use as much military force as they want in response to direct aggression by another nation state. Now look at the problem you perpetuated by allowing them to use violence and maintain some moral high ground. In fact, by positioning them so that it was more or less inevitable for decades, you prolonged conflict that could have long been over. With Palestine bombed into rubble and all the Palestinians dead. So, Thomas Blades, have you come to your senses yet? It's like, I don't understand why this dog that I keep hitting and keeping on an incredibly short leash is biting me. Because it's not a dog, it's a person, and it doesn't like that. It's annoying how Israel denies history and pretends they never stole land. Right? The fact that it was somehow their land thousands of years ago is completely fucking garbage and ridiculous. How about we help Palestinian people get those currently in power out of office so peace deals can happen? Again, Thomas Blades, you've been trying that for decades. It's definitely not going to work. What Eric's saying makes perfectly good sense. And if you get sane people in the Israeli government and the new Palestinian government as they set up their country, why then at that point we can talk about brokering peace deals between two equal parties. You can't broker a deal between one party that's fully empowered and one party that's under the thumb of that party. There's no sort of fully informed, mutually consenting agreement to anything under those circumstances. From whom? Why? Because it's going to ask both sides to be honest. And it's going to ask the Israelis to admit that the reason they don't just wash their hands of this whole business is because really they want to force the Palestinians to do it Israel's way. You know, they want to force them to admit to this and that and the other thing before they'll let them have what they have every right to have, their own state, you know? Obviously, that's not going to play well. Okay, so if you can't negotiate with people who only want you dead, then what should you do? Wash your hands of the whole matter. Stop setting any terms. Say, fine, you're all your own people now. Make your own fucking country. We're done dealing with you. Instead, because Israel wants to win the argument as well as the oppression war, then it persists in this obvious failed policy for decades instead of listening to Eric and his correctness. You know, I like Israel. I'm in favor of U.S. having an alliance, being allies with Israel. It's the most Western secular society in the region by far, and comprises, in some sense, oasis of sanity, right? And that's another reason why Israel needs to get its fucking head out of its ass. We don't need our sane ally to turn into insane, like, like Nazi Germany reprise, this ridiculous, convoluted, warped logic of all different kinds to justify what's fundamentally unjustifiable. You know, get rid of your Palestinian problem, easy squeezy, so that we can go back to being allies of sane secularism in the region, and you can stop being an international pariah for your fucking bullshit. You're a nuclear powered Western country, for fuck's sake. You're not South Africa. You know, act like it. Do all the people in Palestine and Israel need to hear this? Yeah, obviously. They need to hear it 100 times over. It needs to be broadcast on loudspeakers, translated into Israeli, translated into Palestinian, or whatever language they speak. And blasted for weeks until everybody gets this fucking message and they stop being such tards about the whole thing. But mostly it needs to be blasted to the Israelis because, as I pointed out, the reason they're ultimately culpable is because they're the only formal government that has legitimate decision-making power. That's cool. Some people come and try to be like, well, you understand, Israel is not, Palestine's so horrible. And it's like, one thing at a time, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? One thing at a time, motherfuckers. First order of business, wipe hands of Palestinians. I don't know if the Israelis have watched One Piece. I don't like One Piece. I don't know. I just can't get into it. I don't quite see what the appeal of it is. It seems kind of like overly simplistic and yeah. Okay, so maybe Egypt's also worried about what the Palestinians are going to do. So let them worry about their sovereign concerns regarding the Palestinians. You worry about yours, but make them not part of your country. That's step one. Nothing else before that, right? No stipulations, no terms. You can't hold them accountable as failures as equal partners when you won't let them be equal partners. Protests against terror attacks attract terror attacks, probably. Boba Fett. I would guess. Like whatever else you say about the matter, step one is necessarily Israel washing its hands of the Palestinians without any terms or stipulations. They can stipulate that once we have cut you loose, if you do, we will treat you like another country and bomb you accordingly. You do stipulations like that, but that's just saying what you're going to do. The Intergalactic Fentanyl Federation just opened the intergalactic blunt rotation, and they're open for trades. Let's go. Hey, everybody, don't smoke fentanyl. It'll kill you. It can be depressing for everything to take so much time. Hidden entropy. Not everyone has the patience to watch anything. And that's not absolutely perfect according to whatever definitions of the day. Well, I'm hoping that according to contemporary definitions, this that you are currently watching is absolutely perfect. It's probably not, but I hope it is. Yeah, I've watched all of Jujutsu Kaisen, for sure. Great. I don't know if it deserves to be 4.9. I might give it 4.8. I think that there are a couple 4.8s that I give 4.9s to as well. The only 5.0 I've ever seen is Apothecary Diaries, which continues to be 5.0. Even though I think the last episode fell off slightly from previous episodes, but still managed to maintain a 5.0 on the whole show. And it deserves it, and I understand why it's so good. I didn't like Demon Slayer that much. I did watch it, but it was kind of unmemorable and not that good, you know. Keep naming them. You name it, if it's a good anime, I've surely watched it. If you name a bunch of girl animes like Judy and Toshi are in love, they're high school students who have a shared interest in young. No, I'm not gonna watch that shit. I don't need to watch your girly romance cartoons. Ghost in the Shell. I don't believe I watched that one. I think it's an old one, right? It's like an early like buzz anime where it's like kind of hot, has buzz, but it's from a long time ago. Sailor Moon I've watched a little bit of, but it's a little bit more into a younger demographic than. I mean, I like kids animes just fine. Cyberpunk Edge Runners, never watched it. No. My favorite kinds of anime are isekais and or magic powers. You know, uh, like demon slaying kind of stuff. Sometimes with swords, sometimes various mias, but I like swords and dragons stuff, magic powers. Yeah. The current trend in anime towards ever more isekai and then kind of what I'd say post isekai, meta informed isekai. Uh, I'm really pleased with the current state of affairs in anime. My only complaint is I wish there were even more of it. Yeah, I don't mind petting him occasionally. I'm setting some limits for him as far as how often he can expect me to watch him eat. At the moment, I don't really have anything else going on, so I just watch him eat. I probably won't be streaming for a ton longer, but I might conceivably get out my guitar and play a couple songs before. Oh yeah, I've watched all of Black Clover. Um, and in fact, I watched Black Clover twice. I think it's one of those shows that I've watched twice. Like I watched So I'm a Spider, So What twice. I watched Reincarnated as a Slime twice. A couple of my favorites, you know. I rewatched. No, actually, I finished it. I didn't rewatch that, but I probably will at some point rewatch World Trigger, which I'm really fond of. And I could rewatch Fire Force, another one of my favorites. I made like uh, fan art for Fire Force, but instead of fan art, it's a song. It's fan song about Fire Force. So, you know, I'm really into anime. I watch a lot of it. My subscription to Crunchyroll, I would never even consider dreaming of letting that expire. That's one of my most important subscriptions. You're a silly boy, Trouble. The way you like to eat things. That's crazy talk. What type of Tucker Carlson? I don't know, douchebag. Partisan douchebag. What if every cat in the universe suddenly turned into a raccoon? Well, then our cats would get into things a lot more. Because, you know, raccoons, they have little hands. They open cabinets and shit. Some cool website that allows you to make manga and AI will draw and help with story. You can manually do as much or as little as you want. Really? I mean, I do have some great concepts for anime, and that would be cool. I don't know what type he is. I've not watched enough of him. he could be an ENTP, but I don't know. If he is an ENTP, he's being really like amoral and just doing what gets him views, so to speak, and not caring about the truth at all. Oh, well. I'm getting a little bit tired, but to more fully answer the question, do you ever desire to write an anime? I do have ideas for animes, and I think about how I'd like to write them sometimes. I can't draw at all, so you can forget about me drawing anything. But this thing you're talking about sounds kind of promising. I wonder if you could manage to get an anime predicated on something you made. Like, I guess it's good for sort of storyboard, right? You know. Want to see a hack? Light Stopper asks. Uh, what's your hack? The fact that you were able to put a chat that had nothing in it? Is that the hack? Can I do that? No. Okay. I don't know how you did that. Oh, maybe you did this. Yeah, that's what you did. So that's how you leave an empty space. Just push spacebar once. Eventually, you will be able to storyline AI anime to draw it for you. I would like to try some of these things. It's, I've got so many possible projects in mind. I don't know what to work on, frankly. I'm not sure what I should prioritize. And I've not used any of these tools, so I'm not sure how much time I want to put into starting to use it until I know that it's going to be something that I'm pleased with. But I just got to work with it for a while first, I'm feeling pretty energized these days on just taking my prescription as prescribed. I'm on schedule right now, all things remaining the same, to have, if I just take one a day for the rest of these pills, then I'll just have 1 week of sleepy week, which would be insane. Am I going to be able to do that? I very well think I might be able to do that. It's good to get it rolling. Yeah, I agree it's good to get it rolling, to get whatever projects you got going rolling, Uh, I've been known in the past to get too many different projects on my plate at the same time. I'd like to try to tackle them one at a time. I'm not sure what I want to prioritize, but I did take action today to make recording something more likely by suggesting Ruben and Acacia come stay at the house, which is currently unoccupied, and help me with recording. Would be really my primary request from that. The house recording and helping with figuring out how we'll list the house. So those are my priorities. I think I'd also like to talk to you because I trust your judgment about how shit's gonna play. I'd also like to talk to you about, like, if you think it would be worth it to paint the outside, paint it like barn color to make it look more rustic, for example. Or if that's not going to be enough of a thing uh, to be worth it in the overall cost benefit analysis. Of course, it's hard to conclude certain things because we don't have any data on how it functions in the status quo. But yeah, cool. We can chat about stuff. So, what time do you think you guys are gonna come? I think you told me, right? You said not this upcoming Monday, but the weekend of that week or the following Monday. That's what you told me. Okay, so that is on the calendar. Uh, not the 4th, but as early as the 8th and as late as the 11th. I'll put that down on the calendar. Reuben and Acacia, 8th. Put Reuben and is there a notes section? Yes. Hey, trouble. R and A may arrive anywhere between 8th, which is Friday, Saturday 9th, wait. 8th is Friday, Saturday's 9th, 8th, 9th, Sunday's 10th, Monday's the 11th. 8th and 11th. All right, cool. Now we know. And that's one to grow on. Okay, so we attended some more business, got things on the calendar. Yiggity ya, yaggity you. What color is it? It's like I don't know, cereal, beige, like the color of this hat over here. It's about that color. It's not very appealing looking. It's very bland looking. What was Diana Day's type test? I believe ENFP. Or they say in Mexico, ANFP. Stick a pen in it. I like to use that term, Boba Fett. Stick a pen in it, indeed. Yeah, well, you'll get plenty of chance to look at it. You guys will be staying there. It's got electricity. We got to figure out what's going on with the water. Rachel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I got to figure out what's going on with the water right now before you guys arrive. So I've got plenty of time to do that. It might, purportedly, the septic tank is still working fine, but they may have turned off the water to work on the septic tank I need to make sure that, because there's a hole in the wall, I mean, a hole in the wall, a hole in the ground where they did the dig on the septic tank. Rachel and I want to get that septic repaired ASAP, but we're waiting for money to be moved from either one place or another place to come through before we'll have the funds to jump on that, right? So neither of them have come through yet. And sometimes there are delays when you have to divest from one thing, you know. But hopefully we'll have that done before you guys get here. We can get that done before you guys get here. Then we will I'm sure they'll turn the water on before they're done. The way it is now, I'm not sure if we can turn the water back on. So, I mean, that's the first thing I'm going to get on as soon as money comes through. I mean, I sent the mutual fund people all the paperwork they needed. They have all my paperwork now. There's one piece of the puzzle that is out of my hands. They got to get some other piece of paperwork, not from me, from some plan administrator, because it's an education-based thing for, who cares why. So I was complaining about this earlier to Rachel while acknowledging this is incredibly first world problems. It's also incredibly frustrating to me because we're in this state of like, okay, we're getting this house, we're going to do this stuff to it, and then we bought the house, and now it's just sitting there doing nothing. We're doing nothing to it. What kind of electric guitars you got, Eric? What's your amp preference? I have one guitar, which is an LTD. I'll get it from the car and show it to you. And I have one amp, which is a little practice amp. It's not anything worth talking about. I'm pretty happy with my bass amp and bass cabinet, and my bass guitar as well. They're all excellent. They're all excellent, and they please me. But I love my guitar. The amp is just purely a functional practice amp. I don't use the overdrive on it because I don't really like the distortion sound it has. And I used to have a Fender Blues 212 reissue that was an excellent amp. In fact, it retained its value the entire time I had it. Probably because maybe amp's gone up in price or whatever, but it was still worth like $500. You know, like 30 years after I bought it. It was considered a particularly good amp. Like the test of time, and people were quite fond of that amp. I got my stuff. I got my stuff right from the car. I got my stuff. I got my stuff out from the car. Now let's go back inside. Oh, there. Okay. Now, Boba Fett, you and your effects pedals. You see, my habit is to record it clean, and then if I want to put effects on it, do it, put the effects on a track rather than have it affected going in if I'm recording. Now, obviously, if I'm playing live, there might be reasons to get those tones out. But I adjust tone with the EQ built into the guitar here. And I don't really need distortion, reverb, other kinds of things like that. I'm not so worried about that. I'm fine if the guitar sounds like a guitar. So this is my guitar. It's an LTD. It's a sort of hollow-bodied electric. It's got one hole there, right? And there's the hole for the plug. And it's got this tuner and EQ and volume knob in this little spot right here, which I appreciate a great deal. I don't like volume knobs on here. That's part of what appealed to me about this. I hit my hands on them. Eric, Google AI Comic Factory Hugging Face. All right. Gregory, I'm sorry that you're falling asleep. But with that, for the same reason I'm not jumping on this notion of making my own anime. One only has so much creative attention, art attention to direct things. I don't feel particularly good at tone crafting. And so when I deal with it, it's a lot of trial and error that I do in a track. Additionally, I think tone is relevant within tracks, and it has to be the right tone in conjunction with the other instruments. So I'd rather do the affecting after I do the tracking, right? But I'm not saying it's a terrible idea to get that thing, but then that's an additional it's a different approach, and it's going to have its own little learning curve, right? I'm hopeful to be able to delegate some of those tone issues as per my conversation with Ruben, I think he can do a better job of helping me with that than I can. It's just not my area of expertise. In emulation, I tend to feel like every kind of distortion effects pedal or whatever ultimately ends up playing out as a one-trick pony, and it muddies the clarity of what you're doing on the guitar. So in other words, I'm accomplishing what I'm doing with a lot of stuff with my fingers and not a lot of stuff with tone. I'm very much unaccustomed to playing with the palette of tone, therefore unskilled in it. And I've got a lot of experience and skill in other areas where I can be directing my attention more purposefully, I think. Well, we can work together to figure out. We can brainstorm. We can sit down and I'll have somebody who knows what I'm talking about when I say, like, should we approach it like this? Should we approach it like this? What are some of the advantages, disadvantages? Most of all, I'll work better when I'm collaborating with somebody on a project in a meaningful way, like they're helping. I collaborate with Rachel, that's fine, but she's not helping me do anything, right? So yeah, this is my axe, as they say in the guitar playing business. This is my axe. I'm quite fond of the guitar. I like the way it looks. And I like its simplicity. I like the fact that it's loud for an acoustic guitar so that um, I can play it like an acoustic. But it's not as loud as an acoustic. So I can play quiet, When I plug in, that's all well and good, but and I should plug in more frequently to practice playing with the amp, to practice playing amplified. But actually, the thing is, we got a good sound guy. I don't really need to worry about playing differently. He'll make it work with the levels of the sound. It's the second night when you start to feel strange and you're wondering if the range is on. Sending sparks to soar in the kitchen sky. An actual night. Is there no top to the dark up above the shelves? Where she stores the chai above the sleeping forms of vivid mind figurines of Western lonely types. They lie beneath a million running suns. They're rugged and they're done with the actual night. It's the second night when you start to feel strange and you're wondering if the range is on. Sending sparks a soar in the kitchen sky. An actual night. Is there no top to the dark up above the shelves? Where she stores the chai above the sleeping forms of vivid mind figurines of Western lonely types. They lie beneath a million running suns. They're rugged and they're done with the actual night. That's a pretty cool song, Not like I killed it in the playing of it, but pretty good song. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get the margarines, tater tots. He's got a good idea for a name-changing business. Thinking now about what to call Christmas when they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald always thought there'd be chance enough to return to the work I left rough. He'd get back to it eventually, but his visions piled up and his plans would interrupt all the work that started off so hopefully. Now his mind is back on the business, thinking of changing factless to listless. So how all the people wish out his name. And Gerald knows he understands ever more clearly now. He won't provide explanation regarding the why or the how. He'll see you and know you from inside your heart. Exciting, delighting, Gerald plays his part. But Gerald still knew too much to do, and he had dropped time in the underview. Too much to rebut, so where now and what? Too much time spent nitpicking the skew. Oh, with you. Now Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get the margarine's tasty spots. He's got a good idea for a name-changing business. Thinking now about what to call Christmas when they hire his firm to change that name. Hey, Gerald has a thought. It's kind of soft and maybe a bit mush. Really good one. Can anyone help me? Is it like, how's this song go? You come outside. Is that one? You come outside. Your arms are folded. I'm getting scolded for playing again. Is it Dying Day? Dying Day, probably. I can't remember how to play it exactly. It kind of fell out of favor with me, but it is a good song. It's kind of like a mushy song, you know? We need to know. We need to see. We need to pan happenings down by a means to let a logic slide we decisively unlocking from which we'll rarely budge. People everywhere gather up, enemies outraged at how there is a sign. How do they set their priorities? These foreign backstabbing entities ensuing heartache and misery follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting Carson and Desiree, we're stuck with such petty larceny. We all partition the rectories and call it destruction of the whole damn world. Judy shares now her limits. Judy shares well too. Jerry shares for 4 minutes. He just can't share things like they do. Judy soon forgot that she should have bought 2 when she had the chance to buy. And Judy forgot that she forgot that the earth will die. People everywhere gather up, enemies outraged at how there is a sign. How do they set their priorities? These foreign backstabbing entities ensuing heartache and misery follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting Carson and Desiree, we're stuck with such petty larceny. We all partition the rectories and call it destruction of the whole damn world. Kaboom! That's pretty snappy. That's snappy like a snapping turtle. Alright, maybe I'll play una mas siano and call it a guitar time. He's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive. Averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive. Averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them. But every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied the chance to yell at them. So now he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. Hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them. But every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied the chance to yell at them. But now the bridge brings a new approach. Sneakily he'll try to encroach up on the guilty, then perhaps he'll get the chance to yell at them. He's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. That sounded pretty good. Peace, New Groove, in a good way. Yes, Boba Fett, yes, all three of those are mine. You've already conveyed to me your disdain for Pucker Tart lemon squeeze. I like the GS. Well, what's the GS? Thanks, Michaela Williams. Well, some of my songs sound different than others, Didn't even acknowledge me. He said, plug it in and wake up Rachel. Well, I thought that was a poorly advised. I disagree with you about it, Boba Fett. I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong, but I disagree with you. Time may prove that I come to agree with you, but I like the song. It was a joke by E. Okay, Gabriel Pollard. How quickly do I have to, acknowledge your joke before you get all fussy about it? You want to have a good sense of humor, maybe you should try some different approach, huh? Thought about that? You thought about that, huh? Meow yourself, kitty. Alright, I have a request for Gabi Weatherman, so I shall play it. And then while I got this thing up, and I might as well play 100,000 million years ago, too. Yes, I hear you, Mr. Man. I hear you meowing, but you can't come in. Alright, here we go. A little false start there. You're living on a time frame I will never know. Alienation of humanity's soul. Imagine you a future after the collapse, returning to the urgency of isolated past. You're picturing community free of metaphysics while you're hunting buffalo and you're picking red delicious. Knowledge of the seasons, wisdoms of old. Fires blazing in the night to keep away the cold. Hostilities kept at bay by what you think is in the way. of life as children of the land, with an agape weatherman. Imagining a history that never could have been. You lecture at the college, advancement is a sin. Lamenting disconnection and every corporate act. Asserting all your feelings and ignoring all the facts. I'm gonna have to hang up on him and call him back. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land, with an agape weatherman. You find modernity just so banal. Wish you had been born any time but now, and your experience won't run afoul of exceptions you might allow. You visualize nobility sipping on some port, where tribes of peaceful savages in beautiful comport, but few of history's people ever thusly did cavort. Life was solitary, nasty, brutish, poor, and short. Hostility is kept at bay. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way. What you think is in the way. Life as children of the land, with an agape weatherman. With an agape weatherman. Best kind of weatherman. He's drunk on tequila, but he calls it agave. He says he's got a fascination with cactuses, but really he's just a drunk. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody at the show. Place the slabs below. Let them go. They will start to grow. More years ensue and tears gnashing through. Holy slabs come to view. Unchangingly true. Eternally new. But when the slope up is in charge today, options at large show other ways. Take a chance now, once quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork. It's not easy stopping short, too far along to turn around. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Now there's a fitter force. Enemy ground, enemy ground. 100,000 million years ago, time ran slow. Nobody at the show. Place the slabs below. Let them go. They will start to grow. More years ensue and tears gnashing through. The holy slabs come to view. Unchangingly true, eternally new. For when the slope up is in charge today, options at large show other ways. Check once to check one, just quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork. It's not easy stopping short, too far along to turn around. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Now there's a fitter force. Enemy ground, enemy ground. Pew! Pew, and $1 million. And all of a sudden I have $1 million. All because of that song. Well, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. Important, rich, and famous people came in, were so wowed by that song, they super chatted a total of $1 million to me. And I appreciate that. I'm sorry I wasn't here when it happened because I wasn't paying attention, but I'm glad that it did happen. Thank you all for letting me know. What? No $1 million? What is going on with this world? That should be worth at least $1 million. I should sing Sweet Home Alabama. I don't want to sing Sweet Home Alabama. Keys and slides and violins. For which one? Wonder. Thank you for listening, Blue Elvis. I appreciate it. You're talking about Dying Day? Channel search Dying Day. I'm going out for a cigarette at the moment. If, in fact, I remember when I come back inside, then maybe. Have I produced all those yet? Not really. I mean, I have produced versions of some of them, like Gregory in Disguise. I've got a pretty good version of it that's got a good video that goes along with it too, and it's pretty polished up. But what was the first thing I played? Oh yeah, Second Night. I don't really have a good recording of that or production of that. I have a pretty good recording of Destruction of the Whole Damn World. Is multi-track. That's pretty good. I'm not a great producer, but I have some productions of them. But I haven't formally published those productions of them, so I could, in theory, still re-record them. I'm not married to those recordings or anything. I was in a band in the 90s called Puppy Bust, but we didn't sound anything like what I'm doing now, really. What I'm doing now is prioritizing songwriting over anything else and figuring that a lot of how something sounds, how relevant or contemporaneous it sounds to current shit being put out is going to have a lot to do with how it's produced. A good song is a good song is a good song, regardless of era. Sure, there are certain kind of like songwriting qualities that link to certain time periods more or less. I don't really think my songwriting links super strongly to the 90s because I have a variety of different kind of songwriting that I do. My band's name a long time ago was Puppy Bust. More recently, I like to hear me on some alternate tuning stuff, slowed a bit. Well, I don't typically write in alternate tuning because then I have to change the tuning of the guitar every time I want to play that song. What's that 100,000 million years ago song called? It's called 100,000 million years ago. But it's also, for a shorthand in the channel search, it's Hundy. What do you want, Trouble? What did I come back in here for? Oh, I guess I don't have a lighter. Of course I don't have a lighter. So, God, Boba Fett. Okay, fine, I'll find it for you. You want to find the current recording of 100,000 million years ago, which is okay, but I'm not like enamored of it, but I will find it. I'm going to use my finding fingers. I'm going to find it. I'm going to link it. All right. So let's go here with the meow, like the Mia. And then let's go to here with the meow, like the Mia. All right, here you go. Well, thanks, Blue Elvis. This is the song I just linked to right here, and what it sounds like in the production of it. To turn around. Enemy ground. So that's that one. And I'm sure anybody who has a good grasp of production value will say, okay, Eric, I get it. You're not very good at producing that. Hi, Safi Nasser. People might say, hey, Eric, why aren't you better at producing your music? Seems like you got some good songs there, but those tracks don't sound very good. So I tend to agree. It sounds like an amateur like me produced it. At least it got some thump. Well, that's good to hear. And I actually find that to be a production of mine that I'm pretty pleased with overall, that one. But even so, it sounds like somebody who produced it without a production vision, which is correct. I have no, like, the song represents the totality of my vision, and then I might have additional vision regarding, say, background vocals, but by and large, my vision load has been spewed there. I don't have clarity about exactly how I'd like to be produced, what tones I want to have, etc. Want to give you the files? I don't think I have the original multi-track files for that. I might have to dig around for them. If I did, then you could try to do a better job mixing and mastering it if you wanted. The thing is, with older recordings like that, also, I didn't have a bass, I didn't have any drums, so I was either programming drums or like getting practice drums from YouTube and using those. There's the drums. So the point of that is these things are made in a way such that the bass, I was playing on an acoustic guitar and pitch shifting. It was tough to get a good tone out of the bass. Drums, I could have gotten better tone out of them, but I'm just not very good at either programming drums, nor am I good at necessarily choosing exactly the right drums to go underneath it and stuff like that. So, okay, so Band Lab is a new name for Cakewalk. So, and that's part of the reason why I want to kind of re-record these things is some of them anyway. Most things that I think I would like to formally publish, because you're going to formally publish something, you want the final incarnation of the thing to be the track that you release, right? I haven't formally published anything, and I used to think that was a bad thing, but now I kind of think it's a good thing, because if I could get into the flow of recording these things well and successfully, it might require me to even consider using a different production app than Audacity, which I've historically used, etc. Your brother's a producer, if you're looking. I mean, I am looking, but I kind of feel like the producer I want to deal with, I need to deal with them in person, because I want them to play some kind of an engineering role as well. So that would mean me either going to them and their studio, or them coming to me with some stuff, probably, or at least tell me what equipment to get, and then running that equipment. So I want a producer slash engineer. Well, I'll keep this in mind. We'll see what happens in the coming months. I am looking to make moves in music, as well as just hoping to continue to see the growth from live streaming that I've been seeing. And I think I'm ready to, start taking certain projects seriously in a practical, straightforward fashion. Like, okay, well, how can I efficiently get this work that I want to get done? I'm going to have to take on one thing at a time. I could do all the recording myself, send the tracks to, say, Caroline's brother, see what he charges. And he could do the mixing, mastering kind of stuff. Maybe, affect tones. I could send him raw tracks of the instruments. And the other thing that I would do personally, that would be all the fine editing to make sure everything's right in the pocket, Do I have trains? Yes. That's why I need an engineer. I purchased a bunch of trains, and then I realized, wait a second, I don't know how to drive these. What kind of stuff does he normally produce? Or does he just produce whoever pays him to produce them, I don't feel like I'm holding it in, but I guess you could say I am a little clenchy, unnecessarily. I got some cheek clench. I'm clenching my cheeks, and I'm minching my peach. Yeah, I actually did quit smoking for about a week, about a year ago. And then I decided I didn't want to quit smoking. Don't yawn like that. You're going to make the rest of us start yawning. Yawning is contagious, but I've got some good news. My yawning is not contagious. It's the yawning caused by the inoculated form of the yawn virus. Get a good. Ever tried something? Yeah, I have, but no, I wish I had Turtlehead. If I ever had Turtlehead, it'd be like, okay, cool. I am going to go in there and let it all out. Well, around here, Get Gouda, I do talk fairly frequently about the state of my bowels, whether I'm free from poop and feeling free and joyous, whether I'm overburdened by it, need to poop it out, but it's not ready yet, or occasionally, oh my gosh, it's ready. Great job, everybody. Off I go to the bathroom. So, yeah, turtle head makes me jealous. It's like, I wish my poop was that ready to come out. As you can see, it's actually just my breath you're seeing there. I think you're on right track of thinking having someone sit with you and having you on basically two phantom powered condensers and then build on top. Yeah, having someone sit with me, have you on two phantom powered condensers. I got the mics. I got two phantom powered condensers and, stereo input sound card, so you can mic it stereo. But that's what Ruben's help is. Keep me on task, keep me focused, not, we can discuss first sort of the order of operations for recording, because bring you through cash style. Okay, a punk rock band, but he works with different kind of music. Cool. I'm pretty punk rock, Caroline. Okay. You can't really tell because I have such few hairs on my head, but I actually have a mohawk. It's just you can't really see it. Because that's how punk I am. Seriously, go slow and add bits of gear. I mean, it's a good idea, but I kind of need to. I'm not in a spot right now where and this just struck me right now, so I appreciate you bringing this topic up. I'm not in a place right now where I want to work in isolation. I'm just me. I've been responsible for every piece of work I do in full for such a long time. I want to be able to delegate certain kinds of tasks to other people. If I'm going to put together a studio, then it's like, I want there to be good impetus to do so. Like, I'm going to be working regularly with this person on stuff, and they're going to facilitate in this fashion. And it's going to be them facilitating me. No trouble. Get away. Get away. Get away. Get away. Let your sister come in. No. No. Horrible cat. I'm doing a better job of policing them, so I'm feeling good about that. So it's like I'm trying to. I know if I'm going to be integrating some other people in some project, then that's a way to get me to lock down to specific projects and apply myself in meaningful, productive ways, rather than just sort of getting some stuff and then letting it sit in that room indefinitely, and maybe going eventually. Optimally, I'd have two laptops because I don't want to really take this laptop from here until as long as it isn't here. I should just set it up in here. I don't have that new laptop left yet. I am not going to get that until these monies come through, whatever. So it's a little more complicated than you're saying, Thank you, Sean Al. I feel gratified for having reached it, and thank every one of the subscribers who got me here. And I do plan to put up a community post linking to a right. But so in order to feel like I'm locked into a project, I kind of need to collaborate with somebody, and in a way that it's like scheduled, they're reliable, and then I know, okay, we're really doing this project. I could conceivably even hire somebody, to do certain portions of the thing, but I need to kind of figure out, like, what portions of the thing do I want to delegate? What can I do myself? How much money do I want to spend on this, etc. Right. Blue Elvis has got tons of guitar tracks that just sit for years because he gets stuck at certain parts of the process that prevent them from becoming complete, published, and have an actual chance to do anything in the world. I'm in the same boat. So I really need to TE things better before I start impulsively, buying stuff. I got to TE shit well. And for me that means setting myself up with FE commitments such that I don't really mind mixing. But the editing process is laborious. If I'm playing guitar over, say, a metronome, I'm not going to be right on point rhythmically at all times. Maybe I'm jumping the beat by 0.15 seconds. And you got to fix that shit, and it's laborious. So, well, maybe it's emotional things like you've already done. You don't want to go back through that process. Or it could just be as simple as I don't want to revisit old stuff that's already water under the bridge. I've learned from the process of making that old stuff. I want to make new stuff that's even better. I have a poor relationship with my archived material as well, but I do at least have a body of songs that I can reliably play and feel like, and not be like when I play them, ew, that's a bad song, Eric. Why did you ever think that was good? That doesn't happen when I play my very best stuff. It does when I play anything else. But it's also the case that some good ideas, I've had good ideas that have sat for a super long time. And then I came back to them like a decade after and actually made a song out of it. So it's not impossible. Upload all of what? All of my multi-track stuff? I do have my computer set to upload to Google Drive, sync to Google Drive and stuff, but Okay. I'm sorry to hear that, Boba Fett. That's horrible. Well, I didn't care for a while. I stopped caring, but I find myself starting to care again. I go through different phases of enthusiasm for this, that, or the other thing. Right now I'm in a live streaming phase, but sometimes I might very well shift gears and start spending a lot of time recording music. Who knows? Yeah, that sucks, Boba Fett, because it was your body of work already completed. And bodies of works already completed should go into your bank of assets. Night. Uh, Anyhow, I'm going to bed too, so I'll see you all later. Have a great evening. Thanks a lot for being here. I love you all. Don't forget to keep playing the cheese.